Hello everyone, Ashley here. This is to compensate for the lab work today, and as I've said in the class, every week now I will do this type of session, which is recording the lab. It will help, I think, all of us where I can focus on the students in the classroom, in the lab, and as well now um, students who are abroad and who need my attention. And I would suggest that when you listen to this, please pause, please rewind or whatever you want to do, and at the same time try to do the lab work as well. So I will go step by step across the lab instructions, and please try to do some of the work yourself. And if you are in doubt, you can always come back to this particular recorded lab session and then see how it's done. I don't want you to depend wholly on this recorded session. Lab work is supposed to be done by students because all the instructions are given to you. But the reason I'm doing this is because we have a lot of students in the class, in the lab, and abroad, and it's tough for me to focus on different aspects of the lab work. So hopefully this will help you all. I'm not gonna focus on attendance anymore on lab because if you don't want to follow the live streaming of the lab work, it's perfectly fine. I expect you to be in the lecture, whether online or on campus. But when it comes to the lab, if you want to rely on the recorded session, because I've said we're gonna do this every single week, then that's perfectly all right with me. And even the students who are on campus and they want to leave off the lecture and go home and wait for my email with the links, that's perfectly all right. But having said this, another way of doing it is I can split the class into two, and you should be in the class on alternate weeks. So let's say we have 50 students um, who are in Mauritius, and I expect 25 at least in one week. Then the next week, the other 25 should be there. And when you are not there, you should be able to access these recorded sessions and then do the work. Now, I've said in the class today, the tests, all three tests, your assessments components will be heavily based on the lab. It's not something that I'm saying to scare you. It's just an advice, and it's a strong advice because it's in your hands. It's not in my hands. I'm going to do my job and I'm going to record everything, but it's your job, your responsibility to make sure that you do the lab work and do it diligently without fail. That if you feel you're ready in each and every single lab, you've done them all and you've excuse me, you've done them all and you've tried again and again and again as practice, then you are ready for the test. We do have some components of theory in the test, but we also have a lot of lab work which you have to do in the test. So be ready, be make sure that you are up to date with the lectures, you revise, you are revising, and also please bear in mind that the moment you become a little bit too relaxed on the lab work, you will suffer for the test. The lab work is extremely important. Now let's start. What I have in front of me is the book one PDF file. I'm sure you can see that I'm kind of highlighting it, and I'm on the table of contents, so I'm going to click on week 4. That's today, what we were supposed to do. Um, well, today means Thursday, 22nd of October, that we were supposed to do in the lab, right? So let's start. Okay, you were sent a few files, civil servants, HM questions, and questionnaire data. I don't know where to use them, and I'm pretty sure that the instructions are given here. So right now, all I have are three files, and we'll see how we can proceed depending on the instructions. So everything is based on the instructions given per lab sessions. Do not skip anything. Right, so let's start. I'm not gonna waste too much time reading this. This is for you to read, and it just explains a little bit about data And the reason we need to have a good and simple data which helps you to produce good graphs and complex graphs and analysis of data. If the way you stack your data, the way you collect you save your data in Excel, if it's done in a very untidy way, then we're gonna be struggling when it comes to analysis. So this is just for you to read a little bit on page 76 for week 4, and this is something for you to really understand. It's no big deal here. It's just giving you a purpose of the lab work here. Right, so starting with, so what are we going to do in the lab? It's just how we manipulate data. What is manipulation of data? Is just probably uh, I'm saying probably because I'm just thinking of what we've done and not what we're going to do in the future. So, based on what we've done, we can always convert the data in ascending and descending order. We can look for mode, mean, median. If all these terms are not familiar to you, don't start panicking. We're going to do them in the class. So, for those who understand, we can rearrange data in ascending. Uh, Ascending means small to large, descending means large to small, and we can find the minimum, the maximum, the quartiles, the percentiles, the median, and so on and so forth with data. So that's the whole purpose of today's lab. Right, starting again, like I've said, I've noticed that a lot of students start jumping on activities without really reading the details, and that's the whole point. You need to read the details. That's why we've spent so much time writing this book for you. So don't skip anything. Right, let's start with activity one. Like I've said, guys, you have to read the top side, the top bit yourself. So without wasting too much time, I'm gonna go straight to activity one. I'm not gonna, you don't need to go find the materials, the files as per what you read here because I've already emailed you the files. So let's really go on the file civil servant 01.xl, which you should have in your inbox. And here it is. It's called civil servant. Here there's no 01, doesn't matter. All right, so this is the file. We have 4 worksheets, 4 activities. It looks seems so, and let's see how we can proceed here. Save it on your local drive. Well, let's see what I can do. So I think it's nicely and neatly done in a folder. So I'm gonna keep it here. I'm not gonna move it. So it's on my desktop here. Oh, where is it? So it's here. There you go. This folder, I've opened it here, and these are my files. Forget about the PDF file. That's the book one. So I'm talking about the Excel, the HM, the civil servant, the HM questions, and the questionnaire data. That's the 3 files that we hopefully will use today. So yeah, let's open that and see what to do here. So clearly, the first 4 activities are based on this particular civil servant. Like I've said, in the PDF file, it says civil servant 01. Here, it's just civil servant. That's no big deal. Let's not waste time on the nomenclature here. So, yeah, basically, the whole thing about manipulation of data is to produce statistical summary. I'm here. Statistical summary. Some of the examples are median, maximum, minimum, and so on. These are just a few of what's expected for you to do, but that's going to come later in the class. Um, I was going to say something. So, yeah, sorry. I was just saying that if these words are not too familiar, then don't worry. Uh, it will get clearer when we do the lecture. Right, on page 77 now, we'll open the file and I'm going to click on the women label. So this is the file activity 1. Here is the women label. Okay, then select data on the ribbon. The ribbon's here. This is what we call the ribbon. I'm going to select data and I'm gonna um, yeah, actually, as you will see, you can click anywhere within the range of data. You don't need to just focus on women. You could have selected anything within this given range here, that should be perfectly all right for what we're going to do next, by the way. Click on the large sort box. So it's here on my Excel. It's here. It for you it might be on the right hand side, left hand side. You need to find it. So let's click on sort. The moment I click on sort, you will see that everything except the labeling of women and men have been highlighted. The numbers, the figures here have been highlighted. And the next thing that I can see is a pop-up window, right? So that's the first sorting pop-up window that's available to us, and we're gonna sort the data according to the instructions there. Before I move to the PDF file again, I can just click here and show you that both labels are there, men and women, and you don't need to focus too much on this one. Keep it as cell values. And if I click on this one, it gives me, I'm going to focus on the first two. It gives me a selection, which is a choice of either I want to rewrite the women or the men column from small to big, from smallest to largest, or from largest to smallest. I'm not going to choose anything right now. I'm going to keep it the way it is, and I'm going to proceed to the PDF file and see what the instructions are. Yeah, so you should see two things happen, and we've seen them. First thing is it's all highlighted except the men and the women label and the pop-up box. We've discussed that. And what I'm going to do now, if you click on the sort by box, you'll see that the label are listed there. That's we've done. Um, you can tell that when Excel has recognized this because a little tick box that says my data has headers. There you go. My data has headers. These are headers here. Labels, headers uh, have been detected. Now you can try unticking this and see what happens. Just for the sake of curiosity, let's untick this. And you see it's all messed up, right? Instead of men and women, we have column B here, which is messed up because here column B has a mixture of figures, numerical numbers, and and text, which is qualitative women. So we don't want this. We are just focusing on, let's say this is salary of men and women, right? A monthly salary of men and women somewhere in London. And um, that's why you just need to make sure that it was by default already ticked. So just make sure that you tick it, and then it's focusing only on the figures here. Right, so we're gonna tick back the box. We've unticked it first, then we retick the headers box, and let's move on. Right. Now, before you select anything, think about what is happening, and I think you've got the drift here. What is happening is we're gonna have to choose which one we want to sort out. Do we want to sort the women or the men, and do we want to sort the small to largest or largest to smallest? That's what we want to do. Now, um, right. So, but yeah. So let's choose the women and let's click on small to large. What I want you to focus, instead of looking at all these numbers, there's quite a few here, I think 40 numbers. Focus on, well, let's talk about this first. What do we have in front of us? For the sake of explanation, let's say that these women and men are husband and wife. The women are the wives and the men are husbands. And for some research purpose, I want to investigate the husbands and the wives' monthly salary. In London, right? So we've converted that to rupees, whatever. It doesn't matter what currency you want to use, but the bottom line here is let's put some context and perspective in the data, and let's assume that these are monthly salary. And I want to discuss what we see here. So let's focus on the women, right? Um, right. Okay. So it's I think I have clicked it already because it seems that it's sorted. Let's try this. Yeah, it was sorted. My bad. So let's talk about large to small. Or let's focus here. Let me pause this video for a second. Let me just get the original file which I sent you. I think this has been, I must have clicked somewhere and it has already been sorted. So I'll pause this video for a few seconds and then I'm going to come back with the proper file where it's all messed up. Right, this is so it's quite tidy here and there's nothing much for me to explain. So let me get a rough one. I'm gonna be back in a few sec. Okay, I've been able to locate the original file I've sent you, so let's discuss on this one. This is what you're supposed to be having in front of you. So find data. I'm going to click on women data, sort, highlights, no problem. And the moment I choose women, I don't want to choose it now, but the moment I choose women, you something will happen. But I don't want to do it right now. Let's just discuss what we can see. So what we see here, let's focus on the women, husband. These are the wives, these are the husband, and I just want to investigate how much money the wives and the husband get. Now, on the left, on the women's side, on the women column, let's take the row number 2 here. Let's discuss what this could mean. It means that the wife salary is 182,690, while the husband's salary is 252 uh, 1630. It makes sense to talk about these two because they're husband and wife. I'm not going to choose one wife here and some other husbands there. So like I've said, I'm trying to just put some context here. So it's all messed up because you can see a fairly small number, then it increases, then it decreases, then it decreases again, decreases, increases, decreases, and so on, right? So let's start. Let's say that I want to sort the women. I'm going to choose this in a minute so that it moves um from oh dear did, one sec guys, I must have messed up again. Right, okay. Right, okay, now it's fine. So once I click OK, then something will happen. Just remember that these are wife and husband, and I want you to focus only on the first one. So what I'm expecting before I press OK here, what I'm expecting is the women column, the column B here for women here. These numbers will be sorted in such a way that it moves from small to large. So you will have the smallest salary here, and if I scroll down, you will get to the largest salary. That's what I want to do. But what should you expect here? Do you expect the men to change? Do you expect the men to change from small to large? Do you expect the men to change just arbitrarily? Or do you expect the husband to change with respect to the wife? So let's see what happens, right? I've chosen to sort out the women and from small to large, right? So let's click OK. I want you to focus on on the row number 2 here. Just focus here and see what happens, right? I'm going to click OK now. Right, sorry, that's what happens. And let's discuss this now. I want to discuss only the women and then I'm going to move to the men here, right? So clearly the women have been assigned starting from the smallest salary, and if I scroll down you will see it keeps moving. Focus on column B only. It keeps increasing and so on until it reaches the largest number, which is 347,440. Perfect. First question, were the husbands sorted as well? M- I think common sense tells me no, because I did not choose men to be sorted. Let's see now. I can see a number, it decreases, it increases. That's good enough for me to know that there has been no sorting for the men. But what happened? If you remember, this number was not there initially. I can move back and show you. There you go. This was the original data before sorting. This was the row I was asking you to focus on. 182,690 for the woman and for the wife, and 252,630 for the man. Once it was sorted, we have no problem understanding this. But what just happened here? Now, when you sorted the women Excel moved from small to big, but Excel did not sort the men, but still change the men setup. The husband has been reassociated with their particular wife. So this number correspond to this wherever it was before I sorted. I hope you understand this. So clearly men has not been sorted, but men has changed. The salary here corresponds, this particular husband correspond to what his wife was paid a salary before sorting. So this changed, but in a different way. So that's what sorting does. You have to be very careful here. You need to understand what just happened. Sorting was chosen for the women, for the wives, fine, moving from small to big. Men were not sorted, but men salary changed, their location changed with respect to their particular wives. So I hope you understand this. So this is one thing you should be expecting in your test where we ask you to sort and so on and so forth. Right, so this is all the procedure that you can read yourself and we've carried out as well. And now activity 2 now. Sorry, activity 1 was just about highlighting and popping of the bug of the pop-up box happening. So that was done. Activity 2 I think as well was done, where we've sort out the women. What happened? I've explained it already. I will say it for the last time. The women were sorted from smallest to biggest. The men were changed according, and that's extremely important, according to what their wife salary were. Okay, so please read all this. Control Z is this. Going back one step before, that's Control Z. So if I want to go back to my previous data, I've just clicked it, it goes back to my previous data. You could have done Control Z, or you could have clicked that one, you would have got this. To move again to the after sorting data, there you go, and you get the women being sorted and the men being associated with their corresponding wives. So please read this. It's just some understanding of what we've done. And the activity 1 and 2 were simple because we only had two columns, and things gonna get a little bit trickier in a few minutes. Right, so moving on, please read this. I've already done the lab bit here for activity 1 and activity 2. I'll let you read, understand. Right, okay. So we are on activity 2 now here. Let's see what is the difference between activity 1 and activity 2 first. Activity 1, there was no such thing as an empty column between them. So let's see what happens if I choose this and I click on sort and see what we get compared to activity 1. If I click on sort, because of this empty gap, Excel understand this as a break in your data, and Excel will choose only the selected column, and you can check it here. You will see only women here, right? So this is something that you have to be wary about in case you are supposed to do men and women together, corresponding men with their wives, or I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say here. Now, sorry, so I thought I've done activity 1. We've done activity 1, but I thought I've done activity 2. I haven't. Let's do activity 2 now. Select activity 2 worksheet. This is exactly the same except that we have an empty column between the men and the women. Click on the women label and go to sort. Like I've said, we've done it. What happens? There you go. Only this particular column will be selected. You could see that only one column has been highlighted. Remember, we sorry, the reason only one column has been highlighted is because of the gap between the labels. Right. This looks like a simple solution to activity 1 in case you just wanted to sort out the women, forget about them being wife and husband. You didn't want to move the columns, the cells in the column men. You only wanted to focus on the women, and the men would have been stagnant. So if you see here, and again focus on the two numbers, what I expect when I click OK, this will not change at all for the men, and but this will be in ascending order, which means smallest to biggest. So focus on this number and this number. Once I click OK, this will not change now, but this will change. So there you go. Again, small to big, and this has not changed. It's strictly as it was before. What have we learned? We've learned that in the test, you need to read your question properly. If we ask you to sort the women, the wives, the women, but also change the value, I didn't say sort, change the men value to correspond to their to their respective wives, then it's activity one. If I ask you in the test to sort the women, but I don't want the men's salary to move at all, the cells should stay where they are. All you have to do is just have a gap in between and job done. I hope you've understood the difference between activity 1 and activity 2. Please take your time, practice. This video is only as a guide. You are supposed to do it yourself, but we're trying to provide support here, and is use this only as a guide to see what's happening. Now, uh, sorry, let's see where I was. Now, what if we had a large data sheet with lots of rows and lots of columns? In the one that you've just seen, we had 40 rows, 40 numbers, set of numbers or pair of numbers, but we had only two columns, which were active. So clearly, we would have a lot of, I'm pretty sure that's going to come in the next activity. So we would have a lot of data here with rows and columns, meaning a lot of things. And I suppose in the next worksheet, we will have to see this. Um, we've done this, and in the middle, there's an empty column for some data you haven't collected. You might want to sort the data, but you need to keep the data for each person in the same row and so on. And we can always use what we've just done. Right, so here sorting was done only for the women and we did not include the men changing at all. Sorry, it's a bit messed up here, so I'm talking about this particular paragraph here. Right, so but what if I want to do activity 2 exactly as activity 1? Um, in the cell between the two labels, type something, anything, right? So I can say women, men, and their adult kid, right? Their let's say children, right? And somehow I don't have data about their salary. Let's see what happens. And here they said to write the word something. You can write anything you want. Fine, I've decided to write children, no problem, doesn't matter. Now go to sort again, what happens? Now let's go back and try and see. Let's click on women, click on sort, and take a minute. Tell me what you think will happen before you click on it, right? Think about it. You can pause the video and think about it, but I'm going to go ahead, right? If I click on sort, clearly this is what I was expecting because column C now is not blank anymore. I have a label, I have a header. I know this is blank, but it's blank because I don't have the data for children. What I'm trying to tell Excel here is I have three labels: men, women, and children. It's just unfortunate that don't have data for the children. Excel doesn't care about all this. Excel knows that we have three categories here: women, children, and men. So here clearly I can again choose whatever I want and then the same thing. So we can revert back to kind of activity 1 here. I don't want to do anything. I'm just gonna, it's been sorted anyway. The moment I click here, things start moving. So this has been sorted anyway. Right, okay, so that's something to do now. Go to sort again, which we've done. What happens? The all three columns are highlighted again. So it means that just by having a label in the empty space, Excel takes this as a indication that this is a category, this is a label, this is a header. Everything is highlighted and you can sort whatever you want. All the data will sort together exactly as activity 1. So basically I can let's try another one here. We men. sorting from, let's say, large to big, large to small, and there you go. So what happens here? Clearly, the largest salary for the men will be here, and it keeps decreasing. I'm not going to keep scrolling down. You can do that yourself. The man's respective wife is here, but as you can see, women have not been sorted. Women have changed exactly as activity one. So you can just fiddle with this and see and understand what sort or sorting does. Right. What we are expecting now is a larger version in activity 3. So let's move on to activity 3. It looks like we have about 400 observation. That's perfect. That's going to be fun as well. And let's go on. So activity 3 here. In sorting with two criteria. Let's see. Activity 3. Fine. We have two criteria here, male and female. We have a few headers, gender, surname, forenames, and salary. Right, okay. The data and activity 3 worksheet is ordered randomly, so it's all been implemented in Excel in a random way. So how could this been done? I could have a questionnaire and I could have distributed that amongst my colleagues. The first one was Mr. Louis Taylor, who's a male and whose salary, I'm talking about this one here, the salary being 252630. Then the second one is also a male, Sir Stuart Peach. The third one is a female, and so on and so forth. Right? Okay. Now, you might want to do the same thing here. Let's start. Click somewhere within the data and again click on sort within the data. So there is no empty column here, no problem. I could click here. Could click on the header in activity 1 and 2. I clicked on the header, so why not let's click here then and click on sort and see what happens. Same thing, the same rectangular area of Excel where the data is has been selected by default, right? Because there was no empty column, no problem, fine. So you could have chosen as in activity 1 and 2 the headers and then click on sort. Doesn't matter, you can click anywhere, fine. How do I want to sort this? Let's read. From sort by, select gender. So let's sort by gender now. So I'm going to choose gender, right? Oops, sorry, gender, right? And I'm gonna or in an order way, which means alphabetical order with A first till Z. So let's choose here and I'm gonna click OK. What should I expect though? I want you to think about it. I want to sort the gender. Thank God we have only two here, male and female. What I expect, it should be in alphabetical order, which means the female will be first because F comes before M for male. Let's click and see. There you go. All the female are here, and the female names and surname and their corresponding salary. That's how you sort out uh, 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 qualitative data, where female is a qualitative, and you wanted to sort that against the male, and bingo, it's done. Right, so you can do A to Z. You could now do the same thing if you want to find the male first, so sort, and if you want to write gender, but Z to A, which means the higher alphabet first, then the lower one. So M is after F, male, female. So I would expect if I click OK, the male will be here and then the female. Let's click and see. Oops, daisy. Right. There you go. The male are here and corresponding names and salaries and so on. Right? So easy peasy stuff. Now, that's just me. Excuse me. That's just me focusing on this gender. What if I wanted to add another level, another sorting? So if I want to add to, another sorting, I click on the add to button. It's not really add to, it's really add level. And then I can choose again other things, right? So let's read. Here I want to try and sort the salary. First, we've done the gender and now the salary. So um, shall we just keep it as gender, so male first, then female, because it's Z to A? Fine. It's up to you. You can write A to Z, A to Z, which means female will be here. Anyway, you can do what I'm doing here, doesn't matter, as long as you understand what's happening. So let's try to sort the salary here, and let's see what they want here. Small to large, right? So small to large, again, pause and think what will happen. So if I click OK, here I'm expecting male first and the females next. Then I'm expecting the salary to have the smallest number first, for the male, then female, and then click, let's see, right? So male, then if I scroll down, you'll see the females next. There you go, female after the male. Also, the male now has been sorted from small to big according to their salary. And so, if I have to interpret this, the maximum salary for the male is 747490. Then we start with the female lowest again. So this is going to be the lowest salary for the first female to the highest salary for the so Mrs. Susan Coughlin having the highest salary here. Right, you. Right, okay. So you can click some more. You can add some more yourself, and I'm not gonna keep doing this. I'll let you discover that yourself. As long as you know what's happening, you can try by yourself. So here you can do men by age. I didn't see there were age here, did we? Okay, so no, not too sure where this comes from. First by age. What's age here? Right. I think that's just a typo here. It's not by age, but by salary. That's a mistake here. Cool. Going on to activity 4 now, sorting now with more criteria, and hence it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Activity 1, we had just a simple example of women and men. Activity 2 is where we had a blank column in between, and then we tried to add something and see what happens. Activity 3 is slightly more cumbersome, and now activity 4 would be a massive one, right? So here we have male and female, gender, we have surname, we have forenames for salary, job title, function, team function, job function, the parent department, the organization, and the type of organization. Clearly a massive set of data, and I think there were 400. I think I read somewhere 400 data collected, and more, 413 data collected, not 414, guys. Don't keep looking at the last cell number here. The first one is not really the data, it's just the header. So we are starting on number 2 here. So 413 data. Over 400, right? It includes I am yeah, okay, so I'll let you read this. So basically what we're expected to do here is randomizing data in Excel. How do we randomize? So, oh, sorry, we didn't do anything in activity 4, did we? Right, okay. Let's try and read this. To really get used to how Excel handles data sorting, it is worth playing around with a data set with more variable. A good place to start is activity 4. This is more complete version of civil servant data with 400 observations and include departments. Fine. So this is for you to practice, right? So again, up to you, right? So let's click. I'm just going to do 3 here, 3 sorting. So let's click on gender. Anywhere would do. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my cursor a bit. Right, okay. It's a bit stuck. Just bear with me. Right, okay. So sort. The whole set of data has been selected. No surprise there because there were no empty columns. So let's guys, just bear with me with my cursor. It's a bit stuck. Right, okay. Let's sort by gender. Right, gender, and oh god. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to try to get a mouse to help me out here a little bit. Okay, I've got a mouse now, so hopefully the cursor will move uh nicely. All right, so let's start with gender. here. And shall we try female first, then male? Because earlier we tried male first. So A to Z. You know what I'm trying to do here. But if I want to have the female first, then I'm going to choose A to Z. Then let's try another level. Excuse me. Um, let's make it a little bit more interesting. So gender was qualitative. Let's try some quantitative stuff. Salary, fine. Small to large. Let's try another one, qualitative. Let's say job title, right? And A to Z as well. If I click OK, what I expect to find is gender being sorted out, A to Z, which means female first, then male. Salary. Uh, let's take large to small because we've been doing a lot of small to large. Let's take the highest salary first and the lowest. So what I'm expecting to see is we're going to have female here. Then in the salary column, we're going to have the highest salary of the female that to the lowest. Then after that, we're going to have the male with the same thing, largest to small. And in the job title, we're going to have a sorting of A to Z, which means alphabetically, excuse me, excuse me, alphabetically A to Z here. So if I click OK, things will change. Female, salary from I think large to small for the female, and once I move to the male, which is here, that's the lowest female salary, and then I again start with the highest male and go to the lowest male. And I can't remember what I chose for the third one. Job title, I think it was. Oh, let's try again. Job title, right? Job title as A to Z. Do you think do you think the job title has changed from A to Z, right? So this is something for you to think about. Excuse me. Right, so clearly there has been an issue here. If I move back here, Excel was able to sort out um, the female corresponding with the salary here. Let's focus on on these few, right? So the female was sorted, and then later down is male. Then the salary has been sorted from high to low, but the job title. Oh, my mistake here. Okay, cancel. What am I doing? One sec. Just bear with me for a minute. Right, there you go. The job title was supposed to be sorted between from A to Z, hence small lowest alphabet to the highest one. Let's try this again, and you can see that the job title kind of did not change, right? So clearly, it would common sense here. Just think about it. Clearly, you cannot have here it's fine, you can have all females, but it will be completely nonsensical if I think that I will be able to have all the salary from large to big, and as well correspondingly having an alphabetical sorting here. It just doesn't work. So Excel was able to detect that these two were important, whereas this was not really that important. Good. So what we've learned here is we do have some limitations. We doesn't matter sometimes how many um, levels that we have, if in case we want to sort out levels. And what we do, what Excel does, is try to detect the most common sense one. Activity 5 now, randoming data. I'm so sorry about this. um, as Fine, so here we're gonna open a new worksheet, and in cell A1 type random. So let's open a new worksheet, call it activity 5, and in cell A1 I'm going to type random as a header, right, as a header. And In A2, I'm going to write a particular function. It's called a function equal to rand bracket. So equal to rand for random, open and close bracket. Now this is what we call a function. These are functions that I didn't come up with, but Excel designed it. Excel knows what it means, and you should remember what it's going to do in a few minutes. So again, you can pause and think. Random means what I'm expecting if I press enter right now is that a random number will appear. What type of number is for us to discover in a few seconds. But I know definitely it will be probably coming up with randomized number here. Right, so don't forget the equal to sign, don't forget the bracket. If you miss this in the test, uh, it's all going to be messed up. Right, so if I click enter, Excel generates a random number, anything between 0 to 1, and here it's to 6 decimal places. So bear in mind that this is a randomized generated number between 0 and 1. Your question to me should have been, Ashley, but I don't need these small numbers. I want to generate a number between I don't know, more than 1. Then multiply this by 10 and you should get 8.2015. So we have ways to improve on this. But bottom line here is Excel provides for its random function, Excel provides a random number between 0 and 1. Now, before I move on, I will have to be extremely careful on what's going to happen next because it's highly sensitive in terms of me clicking buttons, and I just don't want to lose these values. It's very easy to lose them. Now these brackets are important, fine, because this is how that's how the way we write functions in Excel. If we remove them, and I don't want to try this, but you can try this. The moment I move away from this cell here and press enter, things might change. I don't want to try this, but you can. If I try the same thing without the brackets, nothing will happen. Now clearly, when we wrote this paragraph, we didn't know that you're going to get this answer. Why? The whole point is about a random number. So if I have 84 students, which I do in the class, I will expect 84 different numbers between 0 and 1 here. Right, now what I can tell you is that the result will be in decimal between 0 and 1. We've discovered that. Did you know? Now use the fill tool to fill the next few rows with random number. Now there are so many ways of filling it. The best way is to highlight this cell again and drag it down. Now before I do this, guys, just remember our answer 0.82. My answer or your answer doesn't matter. So if you want to focus on my answer because you're watching this video, fine. If you want to focus on yours, no problem, but something will happen and I want you to focus. Whatever number we have here, something will happen. So if I want to find more random numbers around here, I can select this, I can come to the cross here and drag it down. I want you to pay attention on the cell A2, in my case 0.820155, and see what happens here. I've randomized other cells, but I've just lost the initial number here. That's how sensitive it is. So every time the cell is active, it will keep using the function random. So we need to be careful here, right? And that's why I didn't want to touch anything on this worksheet because it's highly sensitive. So did you notice something happening to the first number? Yes, it changed. Try using the fill tool from A2 again, right? So let's go back on A2 here. Let's try to do it again and see what happens. Pause the video and think about it. What happens is this will change again. So let's drag it down some more if you want, release, and this the first A2 cell will change. Right now in my Excel is 0.3460, sorry, 0.346023. Let's release and it changes again. Highly sensitive. This is a volatile function. It's going to change the moment you start playing around here. There's a word for this. It's live. It means it's gonna keep being active and volatile every time. Uh, um, you go on that thing. So you can check this by pressing the F9 key. Oh dear, I'm not wearing my glasses and wait a sec. One sec, guys. I'm trying to find my F9 key. Yeah, no, so I'm so sorry. I'm not really sure if I can find it. Mine is not a British laptop. All the keys are different here, so you might want to try this on your laptop and see what happens. Excuse me. Right, it's not really that important. It's just every time you're gonna press the F9 key. I can't do it on mine because I think mine should be Shift something, and I can't. I'm not wearing my glasses right now. I'm way far from my office, so let's forget about this. What you do is let me just try this again. I think it's I think mine is function F9 and I should get it done right. Yeah, there you go. For on my laptop, yours might be different. On my laptop, it's not just F9, it's function or for yours it could be control. For mine, it's function F9 and it just keeps randomizing the number. Please watch the screen. Right? So that's me pressing right now on function and F9. You might not have the function button. It's not important. It's really not important. You can do it the way we've just done earlier without pressing any buttons on the keyboard. Now, this can be useful though, but once you have your random number, it can be very annoying. So what I'm trying to say here is generating random numbers is extremely useful. We're going to discuss that in the future, but just trust me here that it is going to be useful. You know where it's useful anyway. You can always generate a number when you want to do some simple random sample and so on. Um, but it's annoying because it keeps changing. Now, what if I don't want it to change? Right? So we have an easy way to fix them. So what comes next is extremely important. We might ask you to perform this in the test, so you want to know what's happening. Highlight the column of random numbers and copy them using copy function or control C. I prefer using control C. So highlight the column of random numbers. There you go. That's my random numbers. Oh dear. All right, I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to press control C, right? I want you to focus on what I have or you have right now. So it's something as 0.283865 and so on. And copy and paste it. Sorry, copy it. Sorry, first copy it, then click the down arrow on the paste button and select paste values. Right, so I'm gonna paste it here. Let's say I'm gonna choose this cell. I'm gonna right click. This is your paste option, and this is my paste values. Right now, before I click on my mouse, you need to observe what's happening. Whatever has been copied from column A, you can see it in column C. But the moment I click on this button now, the previous original value that I have is now stagnant in here. It didn't change. I'll have it here, but this has changed again. So this is just to show you that to get around the annoying thing about it keep changing, you can copy it first but do expect them to change again. But at least I know now this set was my original value, right? So that's how we can understand our previous original set of randomized number. Right, okay. Now we can sort this out again as before. We can click on sort. We can from small to large, whatever. I'll let you do this. And again, why do you want to sort it? Because you want to rewrite this from small to large and so on. Right, and let me press OK, it's changed, right? So fine. Excuse me. Activity 6 now. Let's go back to activity 4 worksheet. And in cell K1, type the word random. Let's try this. In cell K1, IJK, in cell K1, type the word random. Then in K2, create a random number using the function. So in cell K2, don't forget the equal to sign, equal to or A and D, whether it's uppercase or lowercase, that's all right. If I press enter, guys, as you can see, because I did not write the brackets, it's all messed up. So let me go back here. Let me add the bracket, and here you go. Right, generated a number between 0 and 1. Then highlight the column and use copy and paste values to fix the numbers. Uh, right, sorry, first of all, in K to create a random number using random function and copy it to the rest of the column. I'm here. So I'm gonna copy this to the rest of the column. Oops, daisy. I've just generated a random number uh, in column K. And you know you have to be very careful here. But if I want to remember this original data, I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna come here, let's say. I'm gonna click this paste values, and as you can see in column L, they are exactly the same as column K, but the moment I click on it, column K will change. No problem whatsoever. Now, this is my original values. These are my new randomized values. Then highlight that, yeah, we've done this. Use the random column to sort the data set. You can use the random to sort the data set. There you go. I can then click here, sort, and random, perfect, small to large, up to you, and it's sorted. Okay, there were 413 observations. Suppose you want 10%, so around 41, let's say 40. You can choose anything. Let's 41 or 40, whatever. So you can, if I want to choose a random sample of 40 people, you can choose then the first 40 people here because they've been randomized. So it's simple random sampling. We didn't choose those numbers. Excel did this. Excel arranged this, and then you can come and find the particular name that you want for a sample of 40. But the thing is, what you might want to check is about our original data. Out of 413 people, 313 were male and 100 were female, which is around three quarters, 75% male and female. Which means that if you are gonna get a sample of 40, and if you wanted stratified sampling on gender, you were expecting 75% of them being male and 25 being female. So about 30 male and 10 female if your sample were 40. Is this happening right now? So you can always double check in the first 40. Do you have male and female, right? So I can delete this row and sort again. Let's try this. Sort again. Random, right? The first 40 that we have here, so number 2 to number 41, is it representative of 75 male and 25 female? I'll let you discover this. If it's fine, fine, no problem. If you see it's not aligned, then there's a slight problem for stratified sampling. All right, I'm just checking what we have next. Right, activity 7. Now, Active 7 is if you want. So this one was more about simple random sampling, hence the randomize function. Now, what if you want to use stratified sampling? I'm going to read this in slowly now. You should have found that very few people got exactly 30 to 10 split, 30 mil and 10. I'll let you count this. My data right now will be different to yours, so don't expect to get the same thing as me. So do your own stuff, and I would be surprised if you get exactly 30 in the first 40 data. In the first 40 data, see if you have 30 male and 40 female. I doubt that you have exactly that ratio. It shouldn't have been too bad. It would be unusual if you had more than 15 or fewer than 5 females though. But what can you do if it's important that you have a representative in terms of gender, hence stratified sampling? So forget about simple random now. What if you wanted a stratified sampling? Let me just quickly recapture or rephrase or remind you of what we've done. We have 413 people, 313 were male, 100 female, which means around 75% male, 25% female. Now you want a sample of 40, which means you are expected to have about 30 male and 10 female, 75% and 25%, right? So what to do now if you want to have this particular ratio, and hence you've just decided to go ahead with stratified sampling. Now, since you already have randomized data, the simplest way to get stratified sample is to now sort first by gender and then by random number. Now you can select the top or bottom 30 male and female, right? So I'm gonna sort. Um, you're gonna sort by, sorry, where was I? Gender first, then random number. So you can do gender first. Oops, sorry, my mistake. Gender first and random number. Random number, small to large, and there you go. So how would I choose my 40 people out of which 30 are male, 10 are female? Answer is very easy. You can start with the male, choose the first 30 male here, right? Find your 30 people here, and then choose your 10 female here. So which just does the job for you. There you go. That's one way of choosing these 10 female, 25% of my 40 sample size, and the 40 male that you have, the 30 male that you have to select out of 40 people, and so on, right? I hope you understand what we're trying to do here. So please, I'm not going to do this now. You have to do this yourself. Read this. Like I've said, I'm not supposed to be really doing step by step. You are supposed to do this yourself, but I think you already got the idea. I will leave some homework for you, and this is going to be your homework. Right, okay. Activity 8 now, more randomness, which is the function ren between bracket function. Excel has another useful random generator function. This produces whole numbers between a maximum and a minimum value, which helps, right? So you could, for example, generate numbers to simulate throwing a dice. So for example, let's try this and let me explain what we want to do here. I'm gonna create a new activity worksheet, right? So let's create one. Why not? So let's create one, and I'm going to rename this as, let me move this here. I'm going to rename this as activity, I think it was 8, right? Activity 8. Yeah. And let me just write this down here and click it. Oh, sorry, there's a mistake here because I should not have written the dot. So there you go. Let me put it up. What it did here is this function equal to rend between will generate first thing, will generate integers, which mean rounded numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. The bracket includes the minimum number 1 and the maximum number 6. So, sorry, remember it's highly sensitive. So I can scroll down and it will keep generating numbers between 1 and 6. I can do the same thing here, and instead of 6 I can write 100. You should know what's going to happen. If I click enter, it will choose numbers between 1 and 100, and there you go. And that's done. Right? So let me change 100 to 84. It's just chosen, uh, sorry, let's do that again, 84, and drag it down here. There you go, 84. Now, why do you think I've put 84? Because I have 84 students in the class. Right? So if tomorrow I want to choose 15 students, I can easily, I'm sorry about this. I can easily generate lots of random numbers and see who's number 69 in the register, 59, 47, 64, and I'm going to call you in front of the class to present something for me, or whatever purpose it is. Excuse me. All of what we've done today are examinable under test 1, 2, and 3. All you have to do is practice. Now, I'm not gonna carry on now. I think it's enough for today from my side. Out of 10 activities, I think there were 9 activities. I've done um, I've done 9 of them, and I'm gonna let you discover by yourself as homework now. Sorry, where was I? Activity 9, and you have to do this yourself now. And activity, okay, we have two activity 9. I'm not sure why, so this probably should be activity 10, and they are quite easy. But there is I'm here to help, but I also want you to do some homework. So homework will be uh, activity 9, and this supposedly activity 10 here, guys. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. I'm just not too sure. I'm hesitating. I'm just not too sure why we have these two documents. Let me just see what they are first. Okay, some more. These are just files for you to practice on. So it's not in the lab work, but if you want to practice sorting, random, and so on here, you can do this. Let me check what's HM now. It's a survey. It's a survey, and where you can put this yourself in Excel, and you can first distribute this and collect data and put the results in Excel. I'm not telling you to do it, but just this is probably helping us in our lecture today. Is just an example of questionnaire. Thank you for listening. Remember, your homework is gonna be on activity 9 and activity 10. I hope this recorded session helps. Um, Please do your homework, please practice, and I'll see you sometime next week. Bye bye.